City Board Budget Workshop at 6:30 p.m. on July the 23rd, 2025. Let it be known that all members are present. Hello. Okay. So we got all the members that are there. While everybody's relaxing, it's a bit of an invocation. Let's do a moment of silence again like we did the time before, if you would. All right, thank you. Would you stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Do we have anybody that wants to make public comments? We have nobody signed up. Okay, that being the case, we will now move into our workshop for discussing the EDC Board Fiscal Year 2026 fiscal budget. I had put together a spreadsheet for you. I had asked the city secretary, and if you want to wade through this, you can, to give me every transaction that was reported against our fund balance from January of 2024 to current time frame, trying to just identify what did we pay for. And I loaded those in. Those are on your page 2 by GL account number and name of who the checks were written to. There were a total of 6 pages. And out of all of them, the ones that you have on page 2 were the ones that were identified with some form of invoice and or company name. And all the rest of them were, it's not in your budget, all the rest of them were credit card receipts.
Do we have that?
You can have it if you want.
I don't need it.
I didn't put it in there because it was, like I said, if anybody wants to wade through 6 pages of transactions over the last 19 months, like I said, the problem we have is that most of them were credit card transactions, payment for credit card transactions, and I'm of the understanding there was no one-over signature approval for most of them are in there. So the budget shows is that excluding the administration transfer, which was just the internal transfer that's done from the city to take funds out of there, out of the $72,000 that was in there, we can account for 69 of 3,000 or more was looks like it came into just credit card transactions. A lot of it was in I think a lot of it was done in labor or in training. That was what 60 was, travel and training. And then the rest of it. So the way I've got the budget up there, if it's negative, it means is that we haven't spent it. In other words, we're under budget by that one. If anybody wants to see it another way, that's fine. It's just a matter of changing the transposition. So what I've got is on the left side of the dark bar is a replication of what the current budget looks like to date at the end of June. Okay, for what the original budget was, what the spend rate actual to date is, and then what the variance is from the original budget year end to where our current state is at the end of June. So basically 3/4 worth that are on there. To the right of that one, I put in the fiscal year 26 proposed. Those are basically just sums of the actual expenditures that were done in the previous fiscal year to date, with the names that they were to. I did not validate any of them, I just didn't have time to do that. The sales tax revenue, that was from the city secretary. Apparently the acting city manager gave some budget numbers to be utilized. This is about a 12% increase. I don't know where the 12% came from, but that was the number that was thrown out there. I have changed the interest earned to recognize that we have right now about $1.3 million in CDs. Okay, if you look at the balance sheet number, which is the block in the upper right-hand corner, in a discussion that I had with the treasurer, because there was so much cash in there, I had the city secretary take $500,000 out of it and put it into a CD, a 7-month CD, to get 4% out of it. So the interest earned number that I put in there is just my best guess estimate of having over $1 million in CDs over an entire fiscal year. So interest accrued earned would be around $40,000.
So the 559 cash is not.
Well, the total amount of available money is there. The new number is going to be, there'll be another $500,000 CD and $59,190.83 in pure cash, plus whatever we've received in sales tax receipts this month, next month, for the next 3 months. Does that make sense? Well, we have no expenditures. If you, well, if
retail coach 20,000.
but we've already paid them,
That's not reflected in my budget. So.
well, if you look at,
subscription, 34,000.
let's see, where we got it in here. The retail coach in 05, $566.95, looking at page 2.
19.
$20,000. $5,000 to TXP, I don't know what that is, and $20,000 to there. So if you look at so we spent the 19, there is I'm not sure what the balance left over is, like $10,000. And other than that, we have no other expenses that are currently hitting us up, nor does it include any cash inflows that would be there.
So this money's gone. Right, and this is spent.
Yes, those are for which we've got records for, okay? They don't, so we spend money in June, but it's not recognized on here because or in July, because this is to the end of June.
Which one is it? So this is the end of June?
No, to the left side of the black bar line is the budget report for the EDC as of the end of June. The right side was just a proposal for year-ending budgets that we're going to talk about tonight, and to get some of the expenses that were in there that seem to be ongoing. I strictly took whatever the expenditures were over the last 19 months, okay, and put them in there to at least get an idea of what companies and what dollars were being expended. Tim and I have had a long discussion about this. You know, we know full well our first budget is not going to be very accurate because we don't know what our contracts are. We don't know the things that are in it. However, because our bylaws require us to adhere to the same financial policies and investment policies that the city does, it would simply mean is that we go forward to do a contract. It's a two-stage. First one is we would have to do a budget amendment for whatever we want to do, and then the second one would be to approve the contract for the same dollar amount to go forward. But I don't know that there's any reason why we should be going large amounts of dollars into the budget if we don't know what we're going to spend it on. We don't have any idea yet.
Larry, this is current, right?
The one on the left side of the black line is as of June, at the end of June. At the end of June, because we aren't out of July yet, so I can't give you a budget report for July.
And these transactions include the end of June as well, would you reconcile it, or?
Those transactions are the summaries for almost 19 months worth of general ledger entries, okay, that I took some out that were so far back in the fiscal year 24 element. That's what I stated. This sheet right here is, I just asked the city secretary to give me every GL transaction that we paid money for so I could identify what contracts might be out there that we weren't aware of. I don't know that these contracts are still valid. I'm kind of right now, I'm trying to nail Jello to a wall. you know, I don't wanna undercut something that's ongoing, but at the same point, I don't know, we haven't done any new projects that we would wanna layer in for a significant amount of dollars. You know, we're estimating we're gonna have almost $600,000 worth of revenue in the next fiscal year. Certainly, we can do a lot of things, we just don't know what those are going to be yet. Some of them, I think, and I think Tim asked the question is, do we have the right membership dollars in there for the various necessary organizations that we've got? The answer is, I'm assuming that some of them are in there. So if we take a look, we've got the Williamson County Economic Development, it's 20 grand. I'm assuming that's gonna come up again, that's kind of like a membership dues thing.
That's my understanding as well.
Okay, right. So I'm putting a marker there, there's nothing that says once the invoice comes in, that we as a board can't decide, we're not gonna stay there this year.
And it makes sense when some county that
I would think that some of these would be valid, I mean, some of them I know we've been in it for years, so why would we not continue on as far as the contract stuff? So I've only got things in there for which there's either a membership or a contract for services that we can participate with, okay?
Yeah.
So,
And I would argue to come out of some county EPD, to me, it's extremely expensive. And if we're gonna focus on infrastructure, I would rather pay $15,000 less than do opportunity also, which does the exact same thing, just on a bigger scale.
I agree with that, in fact, I think Opportunity Austin would be a,
Yeah, it's so much cheaper.
Well-
They basically decided to sit.
can I make a recommendation then, is that we do 563.20, okay, which is, or where do we do the contract? We have it in, 6270, which is dues and subscriptions. Okay, yeah. So, why don't we do something, why don't we just round it up to $40,000, and then then we can take a look.
I'd like to hear.
I'm Opportunity Austin, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've asked them to come, so they're gonna come hopefully to our next meeting and present somebody in person.
So then we can start making the discussion, who do we want to participate with? So I think we ought to put some change in there, okay? So that if we do decide to go, you know, we're not nickel and diming ourselves with budget amendments and
And
going in
local
there.
EDP is great, you know, they certainly, I don't know if y'all work with them on the staff or not, but I just don't know if we're there. That's just my.
Well, I like what you said about putting more into infrastructure, because that's gonna encourage more
Wanna
things to
change
come this
direction.
direction, right?
Oh,
County
excellent.
owes us certain favors anyway, right? So we'll leave them up anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
I have no problem doing
All
that.
right. So in that dues and subscriptions, you know, can I make, you know, we're not voting on anything. Let's make it 50 grand and then we'll figure out what we want to, because we still have to get an invoice. We still have to approve the invoice.
Do you recognize the current vendors that are listed and what you ran on the report and what they represent?
Not really. Although I think if we go,
The retail coach was the only one that.
yeah, well, the retail coach, New Gen, I'm not sure that we're using it. This Veronica Hill apparently was I don't know what she was. You know, we've got another one that that we've talked about, because we're gonna talk about getting our own legal counsel. So I don't know what you would want in that one. I think I put something down there. Where did I have it in here?
Legal counsel.
Yeah, legal fees. We've got nothing in there, you know, so that was something that you and Tim were gonna work on, was just doing an RFQ. So, I don't know, you probably, what would
Legal?
a legal, I mean, we're not gonna leave them a lot, but.
Right. If you're asking for a dollar amount?
Yeah, I'm talking a ballpark.
Hard.
Yeah.
That's hard.
Well, it's okay, but, because we don't have to expend it, and even if we spend over it, we can always do a budget amendment, okay, and cover it when it comes up,
So right now, there's 15,000 in there. I would say that's probably safe to say 15,000.
Okay, so just carry the 15,000 forward,
Which one?
On the legal fees?
Yes.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, okay, so on 562, 6330,
Okay.
we'll just carry the 15,000 forward for legal fees. Okay? What
We're
else?
going down this, on the engineering fee, because I'll talk here in a little bit, I think we need to bump that up a little bit, because if we're gonna do infrastructure, I gotta have a review by the engineering firm, to make recommendations for RFQs and stuff, so 8,000 is probably low. Maybe I'll bump it.
Remember, the 8,000 was just what was physically paid out basically in the last
Okay,
fiscal
so actually we
year.
have 70,000
That-
that we
so-
have not spent. So-
That's correct.
But
So, you know, we can easily carry forward 74,000 again.
That's what why don't we round it up to 75?
Yeah.
All right. All right, so we'll make that 75,000. Again,
But let me ask, while we're talking about this, so if we're going to, are we going to do infrastructure projects, or are we going to fund infrastructure projects in partnership with the city? And that would absolutely change. We wouldn't be engineering it, they would. And I don't know what that looks like. I'm
Yeah.
just-
and I think Joe's got some ideas of some stuff we're looking at. My vision would be, is that if it's a small portion project that we can do in and of ourselves, that we engineer it, fund it, pay for it, you know, just to get it done, okay? If it's a big project that we don't have the authorization to do, like a complete the water system, you know, then it would have to be done in conjunction with the city, and maybe there is a portion, maybe it sits there and says, well, if you guys are gonna run a water line down, I'll make an example, 305, okay, we wanna pay for a 500-foot extension to come down Bud Stockton Loop, okay, because we've got an enterprise business park that can go in there, and so it would make sense for us to negotiate a contract with the company that's going in there, that we would have to have, you know, the proper EDC, you know, provisions in there for people hired, or investment in capital, or sales volumes, or whatever else. But in that particular one, our conjunction would be, then we would pay for whatever the extra engineering would be on top of the city's engineering to get us that thing that would be strictly contracted by the EDC with that extension. Does that make sense?
It does, I mean, to me, I see how this plays out, I don't understand.
We don't know either, because we have no
How
experience
we
with
gonna
it.
do a project without the city, I just don't know how we do it.
Well,
If we're just throwing a random water line somewhere that, I don't know.
well, I don't think we do a water line, but, you
Yeah,
know,
water line, I would say on this one,
Sewer.
yeah, so this thing, when I think about, it's something that we may look at, within the house with this, city engineer, city review, would be, the first 15 feet coming in, like a little driveway, we got a culvert, we got a stop sign, whatever, that's within the city's, preview on it. For me, when I think of infrastructure, I'm talking about right now, we'll talk about it here in a little bit if y'all choose to. I'm looking at a tap to a 12-inch water line with a vault, with a meter. We're talking about $100,000 worth of investment, which could be a interconnect. Well, that needs to be reviewed by engineers. Not a major cost, $1,000 to review, make sure it meets everything. Because we'll put the pressure on, not the pressure, we'll put the responsibility of the engineer firm that's coming as a developer coming here to supply us all the plans. And we'll review it, our engineers, or EDC engineers, will make sure that it meets all of our codes and is engineered properly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm looking at right now, because we do have about 3 projects that I'm looking at with the city and other stuff that this kind of works towards that area. But if, like a little driveway coming in or culvert, stuff like that, we can handle that ourselves. I think, you know, and then I can be wrong, but I think we can handle that, you know, but that's where I'm at on that one for right now.
well, certainly, I think it would be is that we would have to append whatever the city is currently doing as far as capital improvements and construction that's in there.
Yes.
But if it gets into the part where we're saying, okay, what we're gonna do is if we've got a commercial track that wants to come in and they're looking at some type of EDC support to come into that area, you know, could we go off and fund, you know, 400 feet of water line or sewer line or whatever the hell it may be to attach to the city's current park, we'd have to work with the city to make sure the pyramiding went in there. But if what we're going to do is to gain, you know, commercial retail growth, okay, by a small investment, and then put our contract on them going, yeah, well, usually, you have to hire this many people, you have to make this amount of investment in personal property, you gotta have this amount in sales and sales tax revenue and all of the rest of it. I mean, it's that,
In my typical experience in economic development, and I know it's different everywhere, is we would not be doing these projects. We would reimburse a developer. So if this developer needs this water line, we as an EDC would say, okay, you build it and meet all these things that we require, and then we reimburse. And then
I like that better than
now,
our.
the liability, because I see us being on the hook for liability, I see us
Well,
being on the hook for a lot of things.
Mhm.
And so to me, it's more of a reimbursement type of, so we can put funding in for whether it's engineering.
I like the way you think. And I agree, you know, let all the initial capital outlay be done by the developer and
Pass
then.
it to the city or whoever's code, and we'll reimburse.
Yeah, okay.
And would that be something like off the overall percentage? Because,
Every deal is different.
yeah.
So I think when you sit down with whoever's negotiating the project, you know, maybe it's her team, whoever's doing it. You know, we'll get everything we can get out of them.
Of course.
How do you close that deal?
Yes,
that's
So
right.
what does it take? And then you make an agreement, you know, you have to meet certain benchmarks, or you have to refund the money. That's my experience with it. So getting into the building this stuff, and then who's liable for it?
Right.
You didn't want to go
Oh,
out,
yeah.
who's maintaining it?
I didn't mean that in the sense that we build it betting on the con. It was like, somebody had to be there, somebody had to be in the sink, you know, that's sitting there saying, I'm gonna sign up for this amount of dollars before we're even gonna talk. But I like the way you put it.
The only thing I'd like to add to that real quickly is everything you're saying is correct. Let the developer bring everything to us, let the city review it. But, I will bring some ideas that I think we can do some infrastructure that we can actually fund personally. It's like some boards and stuff, some key things that we can show, developers out there, like we've already got some boards across I-35. Let's not wait on for the developer, but we can actually fund it. It's like we have cash on hand, possibly. And so there's some things that we can do, which means we have there's a little engineering fee involved that are, you know, recommendations. So, I think we have, I didn't say we gotta have 75,000, but probably need to have something in there.
I mean, you don't have to spend it.
Correct.
That's the whole part, we're just,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like how much administration do you wanna have in there? So I think the $75,000 is good. You know, if we wind up only spending $5,000 over the course of a year,
Yeah. I do budgets.
fine, we just walk into.
Everything I can think of.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Tommy
no.
knows, she served on the board. I'm
All
gonna
right.
reach for the stars and hope I get.
Yes, sir.
So most of the rest of the stuff is in there, the website, there's, the website guy has contacted, you guys are gonna talk about. I don't know what a website is, I don't know whether this $3,500 is a good number or not.
That sounds cheap to me.
Yeah.
That is to me too, I think maybe we need to up the game, okay, so.
That to me is your window into the city.
Sure it is.
100%, that's for the first place that people are going to.
Absolutely, and I'm not sure that it looks good, so give me a number that we think we should put in there.
10,000.
Okay, that's,
Are you good?
yeah,
Yeah.
that was a number that was in my mind, so we'll raise that to 10. Marketing, I've got 25 in there, I don't know what that constitutes, but, you know, I'm sure somebody's gonna ask us to,
Or we only spent, what was it, 19 before, or 15?
which one?
19, so.
Well, that was the year-to-date actual, the marketing budget was 34.5.
Right, but we only spent 19.
We've only spent 19 and I put 25 in, so it was up 6.
Right,
So,
I think that's fair.
you know, and again, you know, we're not, the nice part about fund balance accounting, especially the budgeting part of it is, you know, if we see an opportunity, as a board, we can agree to do a budget amendment and we can sink everything we've got into it and then approve the contract that's gonna go in. Probably need a lot of screaming and yelling about it, but that's, you know, there's nothing that limits you other than as much cash as we've got in the balance sheet and what we expect to come in as far as good projects. I don't have enough experience on an EDC board to get any more detail on what's in there. The administration part, I know, I had asked the acting city manager if the 6131, which was the budget for the actual services that we get from Christie and Diane, was accurate. But we're going to review the job description at the standing meeting because I haven't seen the job description yet. I don't know what it includes. Our job description says 75 grand. So, I'm sure that that number needs to be negotiated, but it's in there, but whatever it is, you know, we
Is it a
can,
50/50?
that's what we've said.
Okay.
You know, but it, you know, it's 50/50 on the cost, you know, and my other one was just what was the fixed cost of the overhead, and that was currently, it's been for the last couple of years, it's been $6,131 each year was of Christie and Diane and, you know, whatever it may be. So I know the number's gonna be bigger than that, so I'm kind of proposing we just leave it blank until after we get the contract negotiated. 'Cause
All right, do we want to put a dollar and a number in there?
We
as a
can.
Holding spot, and then we can come back and revisit that?
whichever one, I'm going, whatever you guys negotiate on this, what I'm saying is that the number's gonna have to change anyway. So it's not like we're spending more than $583,112 anyway. You know, so once the negotiation gets done, then what's gonna happen, you're gonna come back in and go, here's the number for the administration part of it, and we're gonna go, okay, I'm gonna do a budget amendment request for whatever the number, $81,313.52, and we're gonna approve it, and then we're going to approve the actual contract signing for exactly the same amount of dollars. So whatever number we put in there, it isn't gonna be the right number anyway.
But the 125, so, the previous director,
Yes.
that,
Well,
I mean, it's normal. Let's say it's not.
I would say it wouldn't be normal for a big city, but
It's normal.
you know,
Being little, and you know, here's the problem that you face in Jarrell is you're sitting in the middle of a bunch of little fish. If you're not paying your staff, they're gonna hightail it right down the road. And so you're gonna have to pay these people or take what you get. And last time, it sounded like you took something you didn't want.
sure, it's
I
a
don't
workshop.
know what's going on. I don't know how the city's going, I don't know the city's budget.
Jorge is in the process of doing a salary survey, and he did include that position, so once he gets that back, I'm sure he'll provide that data.
But I think Dr. Hitch brought it up, for like-sized cities,
Well, so it's not city size, it's based off of the work that you're doing. So Jarrell is a small city, but there's a lot of development here, so the work that person may be doing
oh, I
here.
agree totally
It's
that
not
the
necessary.
job content should determine
Yes,
what
so
it
when we
is,
talked to
but-
the company that did the salary survey, they said you don't necessarily look at the size of the city, you look at the job volume itself. And so they've
Fast
done,
growth isn't a joke.
correct, yes
There's a
ma'am.
lot of work that goes in with fast growth.
Yeah,
If
so,
you're bringing in somebody that does development service type work, knows infrastructure and knows how to
That's right.
plan water under the unit, they know what it takes. You're gonna have to pay that.
so we're very close to getting that back from that company, I just wanted to let you know, so if you want to.
Right.
Good.
So then we'll get the number in and then we can figure it out. Again, next month, among the other things that we have to approve, will be a general discussion about this job description. Still haven't got any detailed information as to what this job content that Tanya told us that the council had approved. I looked at the item that was on the agenda and it's not very clear. It doesn't include the things that we wanted to have in there, so I'm assuming there's a negotiation that's gonna happen that makes sure that we get that figured out one way or the other, okay? All right. So, are there any other projects that we should consider, you know, either infrastructure-wise and/or, you know, brainstorm, just stuff that you may have heard from people you've talked to, things that people want us to investigate, or people that would want us to go out and,
One thing that draws people to communities is that family feeling, and also parks and sidewalks, areas where families can congregate to participate as a family. So I just wonder, you know, as the EDC, are there things that we can do to enhance the family, entertainment platform in our community? Because there's not a lot here, soccer parks or parks in general. Is there something that the EDC can do to reach out to create something along those lines for families?
Short answer for me is no,
Yeah.
because we're at type A. It is my recommendation to the city that we go back and recapture that type B. When we're at type B, you can do parks, you can do so many different things. You can do the same thing we do now, but expand it, so, you know, there is an opportunity.
So then the EDC could exercise influence in working with the city to adopt a type B.
Well,
That's what
I think the understanding was, and also, from my 2 cents back in here, the type A can do some of these stuff as long as it advertises it and opens it up to discussion, okay? But on the other side of it, I would also say is that I understand what you're saying, but on the other side of it is that Jarrell has not exactly been a stellar proponent of bringing in retail and commercial businesses, so
But that will happen once, you know, when families are here and rooftops are here and businesses are coming.
well, I tell you right now, the business would come here if we had the infrastructure in place
Right.
to put them in, and so it's kind of like a chicken and the egg coming through.
The only thing that to me, we got going for retail to be 35, so I would certainly suggest we focus on infrastructure, because my board.
Yeah.
But outside of that, I mean, I watched Tuttle Grove for the last 14 years, and there are 46,000 people, and they're just now starting to get retail restaurants. They're gonna count traffic, they're gonna do so many things. I mean, they'll get the little,
Yeah.
small.
Well,
franchise.
the only cost not put out to that one, just to remember, is that our market right here is 35,000 people.
Yeah.
So from a retail point of it is that we're the size of Hutto, it's just they're not in the city of Jarrell.
Right.
Okay, so there's an opportunity to really engage, to get a draw, okay, into commercial retail type environments, okay? If we can get the infrastructure in place so that people will come out of the muds as well as the city and do it, because that's where the sales tax revenue is gonna come from, and then you can do, you know,
And that
the
takes
super
separate
park.
jobs too, but the same thing with Hutto, it used to be what I call a better community, when I moved there, it was 2011, when I worked in Cedar Park, and everybody I knew, we worked off, so during the day, Hutto was a ghost town. Nobody here, they're going to work, and what happened, I shopped in Cedar Park, I stopped at the grocery store in Cedar Park, and I drove home and slept in Hutto. So we need primary jobs, so there's people working here, staying, you know, in town during the day, and they're going to be, and that's what's gonna trigger to me.
Well, and that part goes in there, you know, we need some amount of industrial, you know, or large commercial, okay, to help stabilize people staying here. And then the second thing we need to give them is make sure is that they've got, you know, the right amount of the city that's putting in the right amount of infrastructure so we can keep them here. So it was interesting, I had a request from one of our developers that's doing development over here in town off of 3rd and 4th Street. So, and his question was, what are the people leaving Jarrell to go buy in Georgetown and in other places? And it was like, I wanna know what kind of business should I be, if I've got a plat of land here and I wanna put a commercial business type environment in there, what do I wanna go out and get? And so that was one of the good examples I used. I just got a hold of a retail coach and I said, look, give me a number, give me a spreadsheet that just says by SIC code, you know, what are people leaving Jarrell to go buy in Georgetown or Temple or something like that. And so it kind of opened that up. And to me, it was always before when we had the retail coach, I would go in and read the detail of the reports and go, God, if we could get something like this in the city, you know, then those people wouldn't leave and go. Now, I understand is the number of people are gonna go shop at HEB at Georgetown regardless of what other opportunities we can put out here, but certainly if we can get that initial condition involved of saying, you know, we're gonna do more than AutoZone and, you know, whatever else is out there, you know, maybe get a shopping mall put on I-35, small one, between I-35 between Budstock and then 310, you know, all we need is a sewer line, we're ready to go, you know, but, and in that part, then I think the EDC could engage, and suddenly we would see this blossom. But we've got, you know, I think the point we're coming up with is we've got more opportunities than we can shake a stick at.
There's a house huge for,
Oh, it is, and then we have a very, we're probably like 6 miles from city limit to city limit, so we got a very, we got, 1, 2, 3, for sure, 3 major, going through it, so we're good there. Like you're talking about, the overall infrastructure for the community, to me, that is something that we can look at, and probably through the application, when the developer comes in, they're interested in whether it's EDC or the city, it starts with the city, but let's take a look at the application, and these are certain things. You got engineering fees, you got city fees, you got water fees, but also there might be a community infrastructure fee. It's $1,000, okay? So if you make it past the first 3, you get to the 4th one, which means the city council is approving it, which would be appeals and everything else, and also they need some assistance from us. Well, guess what? As soon as you get assistance from us, that $1,000 kicks in. That means you're donating $1,000 to the community interest, you know, which pays for your basketball court, which pays for whatever, soccer, whatever it is. And that there, the city can use the developers in a positive way to bring in, if they make it past certain criteria. Then when it comes down to the actual infrastructure, what I'm more interested in, and I'm interested in everything, but more, I'm in water, wastewater. There is a lot of opportunity for that. We can, right now, there's a few things that we can do that I think that we can afford, looking at this budget, our future budget, here that, we're talking about boards, and there's a couple key investments we can make with the city on County Road 305 and everything, that it will open up to, there's a few, realtor people like Charles Ashby. You know, I talk to him a lot. He's always talking to somebody in this town. There's, some people at Salado I talk to that they're always looking. I call them all the time. Hey, who has the water? Do you have the water? Jarrell Sweater or the city? But it would be nice where some of us could actually say, you know, we got a bore, a 32-inch sewer and a 26-inch water at, we'll call it Yankee Bridge, I don't know what y'all call it, but Yankee Bridge, you got Seabud Stockton, and you got Ronald Reagan. We got, right up there, one of these, we already got one bore. But listen, we can actually say that gives them opportunity to sell the city. Because right now, I have 2 bores, that I'm bidding out. So you're looking at $67,000 all in, minus vows on in. That's just the bore. So you had another $40,000 there. So you're talking about, you know, $100,000 on it. But we're talking about 32-inch piece of pipe. And that's case, and that makes a big difference. You know, because that's something that they're into. Yeah, only 35. And I just did one of them myself, bro.
65, that sounds cheap.
Yeah, it is. I mean, whenever it came through, and I wrote the check, we're good. So it cashed, so we're all good. So he accepted it.
Easy to work with.
Very easy. We're very fortunate in this area. Williamson County, I'm being tagged here, but I hope they don't come after me. Williamson County has always been a problem with TxDOT. There's a relationship that we have here. We can push some stuff through TxDOT, especially on boards and stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's an excellent working relationship in Jarrell.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say, in Jarrell.
So it's my opinion that we can go ahead and talk about doing those boards and get the pipe on.
Well, let's get the budget done first, then we'll go to it.
Yeah.
No, but I agree, there is enough, local relationships that are in here with the bigger organizations, whether it be TxDOT or whether it be TCEQ or whether it be the water development, whatever else. You know, almost anything that we would want to do, they're willing to work with, and they have been for 20 years, you know. So I think we could get a lot of stuff done. Okay, we just need to figure out which ones are there. And I agree with you. You know, the idea of getting a board done for $60,000, kind of like put the damn thing in. In fact, put 3 of them in, cap them.
It's theirs.
Yeah, they're there.
Yeah, because once you got them down there, once they've done the pit, I mean, if you got one going, you might as well just let them move over and put another couple in there. Then we can, because we've always talked about this as to how do we do the stacking of the wastewater lines. Because no matter what we do, I-35 is our big.
And that board would include both, right? You would be able to put water and wastewater.
No, 2 separate ones, at least 9 foot apart. So
But
yes,
I mean, the 60,000.
No,
one
single,
more,
single,
so
yes,
it's
single.
120 for.
yes.
but again, the cost of going from whatever size up to 36 it's incrementally higher, but it's not the square of the radius square type stuff.
Well, one of the great things is we got, nobody's gonna come here unless they have water. So what we do is we actually do all the water boards first. If somebody's really interested, you have them pay, or we offset the cost of the wastewater board.
Yeah.
So let's at least establish the water side, which is between the city of Jarrell and Jarrell Sweat and Water. We can push water from east to west, it's no big deal. Sewer, we know we're all going east, well, I'll say that, but typically we'd go east, following the river, creeks and stuff like that. But, you know, for initial investment, go for the water, establish all those, still have the easement where you can come in and put your sewer in. And I say that this is all within a year or so, but if someone comes in who's really wants to push something like this, so look, we already got your water in.
Yeah.
And so we're willing to flip the difference, so we'll pay 40, you pay 40, we're all good. And I guarantee you, they'll jump on that in a heartbeat.
But if you're pushing water, then I'm gonna have to do sewer, right?
That's right.
You got one, you gotta have the other.
That's right.
You got it.
As soon as they find out they got water, they'll be happy to pay for
So
sewer.
it'd be
Yeah,
nice
unless
if
something
you
changes.
Work too, just do
Yeah. If the money's there, we'll do it.
Well, and the other bright side to remember is that our partners in Jarrell Swidner, you know, they've got all the easements to put all the water lines in once we come out of the boards. That is the most important part, okay, which people fail to understand, is that if you already own the easements on all the roadways that are around here, you're the financial god, you know, you can put whatever line in you want to, you can upsize it any side you want to, you know, then the negotiations become pretty simple.
And I don't know how this town, Jarrell Schwertner, who owns what, I don't know, so if we bore these things, who owns and maintains these things?
Well,
The city?
yeah, it'll be the city, because unless, I mean, we have what's called interconnects, but I would say for right now, speaking at this second, everything would be owned by the city, because the direction that the city's trying to grow, that eventually, city of Jarrell will be enormous.
Yeah.
So, I'll just leave it at that, so. It'll be city of
Yeah,
Jarrell.
right.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
that's everything.
Everything will eventually be the city of Jarrell utility system, okay? You know, may have to put a, you know, plastic name tag over the front of his shirt,
Yeah.
it doesn't say Jarrell Swidner Water Supply Corporation.
Jarrell Swidner's here for the city of Jarrell,
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
we're
go
good,
us.
we're good.
Okay, all right, so getting back, the small business programs, there's no money spent, don't know if there's anything in there, business retention, same thing. Travel and training, I'm not putting anything in there, I mean, I can. You guys wanna do some, I didn't think you do. If we need to, if we wanna bring somebody in, we can do that under contract or bring them in, if we need them to train us, to do something, I think the city is working on getting us a 5th member. Is that right? Fine, okay. So, probably doesn't make much sense to do a lot of training until we get our full board back on staff again. Okay, is there anything else you can see in there that we're, website up to 10, marketing is at 25, meetings, I don't know what the rest of this stuff is. The administration will be a negotiated fee that will be figured out as we get the job description done and determine what the contract is between the city and the EDC for the services that we've got there. So what I've got is that the dues and subscription are gonna be 50,000, contract labor engineering is 75, auditor is 3, legal fees are 15, website is 10, marketing is 25.
Can we also, continue the line item for the community library?
We have no contract for the community library.
Okay.
That is a nonprofit.
Mhm.
And so anytime that you're dealing with a nonprofit, you have to have either a contract for services, because otherwise it's a donation, and I will guarantee you that's
Well,
That's illegal.
They're putting in a new facility for the community library over there, off on the east side of 35.
don't know. It's
Yes.
a 501c3
They-
that's done by donations and not owned by the city
Mhm.
and whatever
But
else, so.
being its own entity, would it qualify for any business retention?
If we have a contract, and they can specify who is going to be doing the retention, what their qualifications are, and what our measurements are, then the answer is yeah, we can negotiate with them to do
So they just need to come in and make a presentation
that.
about?
No,
Oh,
they've done that before.
okay.
So I specifically asked the library head to show me the contract of the performances there, and what I got was a lack of specificity. You can take a look at it. Most of this has nothing to do with contract performance. There's nothing that says you're going to do, these are the people that are going to be trained, these are the people that are training systems in there, this is going to be how many classes you're going to teach, this is going to be whatever's in there.
And they
And
didn't do that to you?
this is what she responded to when I said, can you give me the contract and the performances that you had that we would, as the EDC, pay for? And it came into, most of these are strictly AARP things that are being paid for by other nonprofits, or county things that are being paid for out of county expenses. But as a quote nonprofit, okay, in our case, and I'm just trying to be careful about this, you can vote it any way you want to, but if you do not have a performance contract with a 501c3 corporation, I will guarantee you that we open ourselves up to some liability. Because what you're now doing is you're making donations with public funds.
Well, I think though the funding was for the classes that they offer for workforce commission. I know they do some language classes. They are educating our community about opportunities to be employed.
And simply, if we went to a contract and go, how much are you gonna spend on whatever this is here, that's not being spent in some other place? So much of what I saw in there was things that was already being spent by the county, and they were just servicing as a purpose for it, okay? So they weren't doing anything for the money, okay, other than, occupying space. Okay, so there was nothing in there that said, this is the way that you need to do it, this is our staffing levels, it was mostly, it was kind of like a comment that was in there and saying, well, we're the only organization that can do community service. I'm going, well, I don't know what community service has to do with EDC, but on the other end of it is that the city is also qualified to do that. Okay, so kind of like why would the EDC get involved in something that's strictly community service and it's not being paid for by increasing, in my view, increasing the things that you would want to do economic development for. Okay?
Well, training people for.
If we
So
can
we
get,
can get a contract.
if we
to
can get,
specify
if you
that.
can get a contract that specifies, what are you gonna train for,
Okay.
what are the qualifications of people you're gonna train for, and what would be the benefit, that we can do in the city, then I would say, fine, you can have a contract for
Do
that.
we have applications, something like that, so whether, sometimes, some has to be given to us to create a contract.
Understood.
Yes.
So is there an application that you
Yes.
can create, you fill it out, we look at it and says, okay, if you fill all this stuff out, that can actually turn into,
So that
once
might-
it's signed and approved, it can actually become a contract. And so, if it meets our
Criteria.
criteria on that,
Yeah.
then so be it, because it's either gonna be up or down, real quick. Even though you fill it out, doesn't mean you're guaranteed, but it doesn't fit our criteria, yes. If it does, guess what, you'll next to the next phase. Attorney gets it, we're making a contract, then we'll approve funding or put it in the budget.
And I agree, Trey, but I don't believe we have anything like that, right?
We have a form, Jorge gave me access to all of the EDC directories that were done by the previous executive director. Unfortunately, it seems that most of those were cleaned out for some reason, but there are some forms that were left in there. I can take a look at what those are in there, but most of them seem to be based around the same thing as, what are you gonna do, what are your qualifications to do it, what should be the measurements, okay, that says you did what you said you were going to do, which is kind of like we expect any contract to be. So I will take that underneath that on my own and find out what that form says, okay, and we can put that into a general discussion at the next full board meeting, August the 11th.
In the meantime, putting in the 10,000 with the understanding that we need that documentation for the library in order to award any monies out of that line item.
Well, we go back to the same thing we we're talking about
Right
before.
now.
If we get the contract, then we just do a budget amendment for whatever, because it may not be 10,000. It may be 2,000, or it may be 20,000, or it could be any number in between. But once it's done, and you as a board decide that's what you want to fund, then the first action is going to be, I make a budget amendment to whatever that may be, and then the second one would be, I want to approve the contract that we got with the library.
And she could report back that it was for the workforce development. I think that they should be able to provide you with a breakdown of where your 10,000 went, show how that money was represented in workforce development.
Well, my problem is
It's
that
a general
there was
statement
no
here.
contract with the EDC last year. And so they scared the hell out of me when I found that out.
No, and I agree that you need a contract, absolutely, but if you can get her to break that down, I think that would be
You know,
definitely.
if she could break down what it is that they want to do,
Mhm.
what the real cost, what the qualifications are, the people that are gonna be there, the number of people that they're gonna be able to train, and the cost that's gonna be able to train that's in there. And the resultant would be is that, what document are you gonna give us to show that you're really trained, whatever number of people we need? The answer would be fine, just like any other contract, okay? What are you gonna do? How well can you do it? Are you qualified to do it? And then show me that you did what you said you were gonna do.
I'm not opposed to building the workforce at all, but I do agree that you have to have a measurable for your money.
Absolutely, you know, so I kind of saw that, and I went to the county and I looked at their workforce, and I'm going, I don't see that there's any difference between what the county's doing and what the community library in North Williamson County is doing. Okay, I mean, what is the relationship between the two? What differentiates you from what we're already paying taxes for the county to do, that you want the EDC to do that's on top of what's already being funded? So that would be my simple question to the library director.
Where do the sales taxes go in the money? Nobody's capturing it.
Where's it go, where?
Where does it go? Who's capturing the sales tax? The city can't capture it.
ESD,
Well, MUDs can't have,
All 2%?
they have to be.
MUDs don't have commercial property. They don't collect sales tax.
They have commercial property, they just don't collect sales tax.
They don't collect
There's
sales
plenty
tax.
of commercial property
Right.
over there, so
They
what
don't
I'm going after is, where is the 2%? Because a library district can be formed, and the voters can get them.
They've tried
They
that.
do it all the time.
They've tried that.
Leander and Liberty
They've tried
both
that.
have library districts. I don't
Well,
know.
again, the history, and I can go through it with you, because I was there when it first showed up in 2014, okay? They originally came in as a 501c3 known as the Community Library of Northern Williamson County. Simple as that. And their initial part was that they thought the city should fund them, and I said, we don't have enough money to fund the library. At that time, we had 1,400 people in the city, 1,500. So then they tried to get funded through the county told them no, so therefore they changed their name to doing business as the Jarrell Community Library, which was fine. But the sequencing there went is, what exactly are they performing, you know, that either the MUDs and or the city would want to combine resources to support it? Because right now, at least in their last report, okay, the total amount of contributions over a year was $9,000. And they said they're servicing 25,000 people, so that's, everybody else thinks it's worth about 33 cents a year.
Yeah, well, I personally feel like every city should have a public library. That's just
Well,
my opinion. I don't use it personally, but I know people that are less fortunate sometimes. They go there to use computers. They go there for many, many reasons. So I would look at the city to say, hey, get it together.
And the city can do whatever it wants to do.
Yeah, I think they should.
You
That's
know,
my opinion. I think there's
you know,
much
you just need to be real careful
I just
about
don't know
dealing
what-
with a tax exempt organization trying to take tax money, okay? That's called a donation, and that is not
from the city.
from a city.
Yeah,
If you don't have a contract,
disagree.
well, you can disagree,
I
but
say
I'll give you
city
I'll give you
takes
the
1%
legal
of
precedent
the
that
annual
says,
budget every year and distributes through every non.
not as a general law city. It is very specific
Well, they
that
need to
you
fix that
cannot,
too.
well, you know, I'm just telling you, the way the documentation is written for a general law city, okay, is that you cannot make donations, okay, with public public funds. Can, okay? Now, if though, sorry, it's just the way it is.
I have to look into that one there.
Dude, I'll be happy, I'll send you the entire TML document on donations, and I highlight it in red and send it to council every couple of years, so.
So I hear us saying that, yes, we need a contract that specifies the services that they offer, that's going to increase workforce and provide services for our community members to be better able to participate as workers. And we can do that, but I still maintain we keep the line item. We have to do a BA anyway, we call it budget amendment, right, a BA for anything. So keep the $10,000 for the community library, and then from there we can BA it however we need to. But as an EDC that's representing all of Jarrell and creating a healthy environment that people thrive in, we have to be cognizant that this is a perception that we are doing what is best for our citizens. And a library in our community and amenities in our community is one of those things that we do to encourage businesses to come. And we have to do a BA anyway for any of it. So that would be something we can work with the library to create that contract for us.
Yeah, for me, I just don't know if it's a legal expense, and that's why I say we need legal representation, so I can spell it out. You know, there's certain things we can do, we can, I don't know where this falls on our A for donations, I don't know if we can donate money or not.
No,
I don't know.
but you can have a contract, and it doesn't have to be
And that's
a
what we're doing.
55-page contract, but it has to have, what are you gonna do, who the hell's gonna do it, and what is the measurement that you did, what you said you were gonna do. Just as simple as that, it can be a 2-page document.
No, a contract don't give you right to do anything you want though, so that's what I'm saying, what is a legal expense? So we can have a contract, but can I have a contract with a nonprofit?
You can have a contract with a nonprofit if it's for service, okay, and you show that there was a service provided, not a donation.
Correct.
That's the difference.
Which we're gonna do. We're gonna get them to specify more in alignment with what you're referencing on, the fee that goes along with that. But to the infrastructure, I think we're getting all of this, and that's the good thing about this budget, is we're able to put in infrastructure, we're able to encourage businesses to come, and we're able to provide opportunities that are going to flourish Jarrell for the citizens. So all of those things are happening, so it's a win for everyone.
Okay, so the additional item will be a tentative number for the carry forward of 10,000 for the EDC Jarrell Community Library.
Now, saying on that, now, are we gonna try to create a application or review the
Yeah,
application?
I think there's-
that's the key.
Yeah, I think there's one in the files that's currently there. I'll bring it, we can review it and decide whether that's either worthwhile or we need to start from scratch and we'll do what, because I agree with Joe. I think that's a good one. Here's an application that you gotta have, but just,
Sounds great.
okay, does that work?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So,
The EDC don't do it.
Okay.
They have partnership with higher education, so our Hutto ISD, Hutto
Yeah.
Economic Development Corporation, the city each give $125,000 a year to the higher education center, but in return, they have to produce jobs.
yes.
So they have
Yeah.
to get them
So
out
there
of
has
high
to be a
school
measurable
into the higher
result. Yeah.
education, and then they have to show that they're placing these high school students locally.
Yeah.
And so in exchange, they get $375,000.
Well, something like that, I mean, to me, we can almost, a part of the application is, are you working with the ISD towards, for me, from the water side, I would love to have water and maintenance training in this area within the,
That's
I'll
great.
show my age, the ag group, the diesel mechanics.
Mhm.
But where they can come over, work for the city of Jarrell Sweater for during the summertime, get trained and stuff like that. But when you have to have computer-based training,
Mhm.
well, if so, you go to the library, it's set up, it's all directed through the city, through the ISD, because in my mind, it all starts with the school.
Right.
So school starts everything, can we all support it, but getting back to what's legal, whatever. But you fill out this stuff out,
Yeah.
the CV training, and that way we so that we're gonna have water, wastewater, electrical, this,
Jobs,
yeah,
training.
jobs and stuff like
Yeah.
that. And if they are a entity to
Yeah.
do it, whether it's at the ISD or it's in a physical area closer towards where all the homes, we'll figure that out. But, you know, if they provide something like a room like this with 26 computers and we got somebody putting them out, okay, that's fine. That is something that we're getting something back from as a community.
Agreed.
Or I'll give another example, because it's the same thing we're gonna talk about our shop parts of it. If you had a contract with the library, okay, to do some services, and then you came to us and said, would you support that doing job growth and creation everywhere, I would say we would have a much easier time of getting there, you know, because we're going, all we're being asked to support is strictly the vocational portion of it, okay? Some contribution, whatever it may be, because they're gonna have to answer to you as to what the performance is,
Right,
okay?
right.
And at that point, we kind of just move off to the side a little bit and go, fine. Performance is going to be held by the Jarrell Independent School District. The city is supporting only those things that create jobs or skills for jobs coming directly out of the school.
Yeah.
That would be probably an easy one to get by. All right, so we've got that one in there. So I've got a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 items that we're going to include in the first budget, which I'm gonna give you a rough number, 35, 110, about $160,000 in expenses against a $583,000 revenue, which says we've got some wiggle room for new projects that we might want to do next year. Plus about, I'm figuring by the time we get to the end of the fiscal year, I'm gonna say we're gonna have about 1.5 million in cash and CDs in the bank, unencumbered. So we can put some boards in. Okay. So if you're comfortable with this one, what I will do is redo, I think we're gonna keep all the GL numbers. I'm just gonna put zeros in there, just zero amount, okay? And then what I'll do is put the numbers that we've talked about tonight, and I'll add this as an action item to our normal meeting on August the 11th, and we can do a budget. I'll inform the mayor that we're gonna be 11 days late getting our budget to the city because we're new, okay? But then we can submit that one in and have that one ready to go by the 11th, and can approve it at the next meeting, okay?
Was there anything else that we don't know is coming that may happen?
I will say is that I did my best with Diane's help to take a look at all of the expenditures that we've got. All I'm looking at right now is just fiscal year 2026. There will be a discussion item coming up on for the LaPlot thing, but even if that's the thing we're supposed to sign, it's a $500,000 performance entity. It's gonna be 3 or 4 years before that comes due, okay? Because it's one of those, you gotta show us that you did all this stuff, so I'm assuming that it was done and approved by the previous EDC board, but, yeah. So for us, it will be simply going in there and doing the formal approval of that.
I'd like to see those kind of things, if we know it's there, it's reflected, maybe not
But
in
this-
the budget, but on the paper, because, what happens in 3 or 4 years, and they won't have $1 million, and we don't have it? How are we planning for that $500,000?
That $500,000 CD, putting a notation in there that it's covered.
Drill 6 holes and do this, and libraries, and that goes away fast. I'm just saying.
That's why every organization needs a good, strong finance or budget manager.
Yes,
Okay.
I agree.
Okay.
But I wanna see the number reflected. If I know that I'm on the hook for $500,000, I wanna make sure that it's in my
It's
face.
indicated, yeah.
It's indicated. I don't have to budget it right now, but it should be reflected.
But
So that when we're taking reserves and we're putting money to the side, we're planning for.
Okay.
You don't moving forward, have those questions of, are we missing?
We're not gonna budget for it, because we know it's 2 or 3 years. But I wanna make sure we're monitoring what we're doing.
Well,
We're
we
reserving enough.
can certainly do the equivalency, and I'm more than happy to do this. I can do the equivalency of a capital improvement plan for the EDC and just say, okay, in 2028, we're planning on a $500,000 expenditure for the bot, okay? And then any other project we come up with, we can put them in that capital improvement plan and the year that we expect to have it in, and then we can approve that capital improvement plan, so everybody has a document that says, when we move to the next fiscal year, what things should we be stepping in?
Yeah. To
Would
me,
that work for you?
To me, when you approve that contract, you spent that money. That's how my brain works. You may not spend it for 3 years, but you have obligated for $500,000, and you should be planning for that.
I-
Putting reserves away, whatever that is,
Yeah.
I wanna see it.
Well, and that part we can do in there by putting that capital improvement plan in there, and specifically finiting in there, we can specify the CD number
Yeah.
that says, if they perform everything that they're supposed to perform, CD number, whatever, I got it today.
And then
Yeah,
too, if we
whatever
all
it is.
go away, you know, the next board not doing what you're doing right now, they're not scrambling, trying to figure out, it should be reflected, it should be here, we should leave a trail.
And I think that would be a good one. I think we should have just a one-page capital improvement plan, just says, these are all the projects that we're looking at, and these are the kinds of monies that we're exposed to if they meet their contract basis, because that's really what we're looking at, I think. Okay, I can do that. Why don't I bring you a pro forma at the next meeting? Okay,
But something like that, I'm using like 1, 3, and 5 year outlook. That's all I'm looking for an outlook. I know this right here is this coming year's budget. So do I have anything pending for 3 years, or anything pending for 5 years? Lamont, is 3 years, so, if they meet all the goals, we have performance that we have to pay 5.
Yeah.
And 5 years out, city will work out some other deal, we might be, so somebody, we don't, I think as a quarterly, annually, review of us, we're gonna look at that, but normally, we're looking at this year's budget, monthly, you know, expense revenues, and.
well, I would
I
say,
don't worry about that, but I'm not looking at just right now. If I signed an agreement for $500,000, I wrote that check that day.
Yep.
That's money spent. And so $1.3 million ain't crap for infrastructure. You're not going far. It's no money. I mean, if you start building a road or.
well, which is one of the reasons why I say, if we don't start getting retail and commercial in here, we're never gonna get money to spend on this stuff. That's my argument. But I agree, so we will do that. We will do that capital improvement that sits there and says, here's Labatt due in this particular year. If we're gonna do a bore, we decide to do one bore every year for the next 3 years, $68,000, $68,000, $68,000, so that every year we know whatever that balance sheet is, you gotta deduct out all of your projects in that particular time frame, or you haven't got no money. Cause that's what you're really saying, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying, we just need to make sure we're putting enough back.
Yeah.
When that
Oh,
crap
I-
moment comes, we've got it, and we still.
You're talking to one of the most fiscally conservative people in the world.
I'm right up here with you.
Okay, so is there anything else that you want to bring up that we should talk about on this one? Riggs? Good?
Good.
There being no further business in front of this workshop?
Motion to adjourn.
We stand adjourned. 7:37.